You will never find happiness. But the good news is that you don't have to. Emotions are a lot like clothing. I can wear a nice jacket and I can love the way I look in it, but eventually I'm gonna have to take that jacket off and I'm gonna be just what I was before I was wearing the jacket, which is just me. Now, I can get as much identity as I want from the jacket. People can come up to me and they'll tell me how good I look in the jacket, like, damn, Jonah, your arms look so good in that jacket. But deep down, I know that I'm not the jacket, I'm just Jonah. I'm not a piece of clothing, just the person who wears the clothing. People tend to get a lot of identity from their emotions because we live in a society that is largely based around satisfying the ego. Here's the thing about the ego. It wants to survive so bad because it knows that it doesn't really exist. We just made it up. Now, the ego will do everything it can to keep us from finding out it's not real, so it begins to look into the outside world to give it an identity. It says, hey, that person bumped into you. He's an asshole. I'm mad. And you're like, yeah, I am mad. That guy's a jerk. I hate him. And then what you do is you sit around and think about all the other things in your life that have ever made you mad. And you get mad to this point where you just get consumed with anger. I'm so mad. But another thing about the ego is it has an incredibly short attention span. So even though it initially got you to identify with that emotion, it gets like terrified again because eventually that feeling wears off. Just like the jacket, you don't feel angry forever. So your ego starts the process of looking for more things to give it an identity. And to be fair, a lot of this is a state of mind. You don't have a lot of control over it. You have been raised to believe the things you feel and the things you have are the things that you are. You have been raised to get identity from the people that you date, the jobs that you do, the money you have, the experiences you accumulate. It's all about having more. Give me more. I need more. Feed me. I need more, 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 more. The ego is a monster that has to eat to survive, and its stomach is a black hole. No matter how much you try, it's never gonna be satisfied. Nothing is enough. So that's why it's kind of funny to hear people say, oh, I just wanna be happy. I need happiness. I wanna find happiness. As if it's a physical thing that you can attain. Happiness is an emotion that you feel. You will never be happy 100% of the time, the same way that you'll never wear a jacket, a pair of shoes, or a shirt 100% of the time. And really, would you really want to? If you wear the same pair of underwear for a week, that would get so gross, it's disgusting. Now you're probably sitting there pissed off thinking, oh, Jonah, what the hell? Why does your impression of me sound nothing like me? Also, how can you sit there and tell me I'm never gonna be happy? I will be happy, you don't control me. And you're right, I do a terrible impression of you. Also, it's just a fact. You will never be happy 100% of the time. You gotta get that out of your head. But honestly, you don't want that. It's boring. As a thing that is created to experience and feel emotions, things would get very stale if you could only just experience one emotion. But that also ignores a very important piece of this puzzle. In our society, we like to think of things as having an equal and opposite partner. If I'm not happy, I must be sad. If things are dark, then the opposite is light. If you let happiness just be an emotion, like all the rest of them, you realize that it's a high. It's just chemicals reacting in your brain. So if you look at happiness like this attainable state that you have to be in, you say, when I'm not happy, I must be sad, which is just not the case. It's not true. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that. When you're not feeling any emotions, you're neither happy nor sad. You are just here. You're content, and you watch, and you experience, and you learn. Which, granted, is not the worst thing in the world. In fact, it's pretty awesome. It also helps to change our definition of happy from an attainable state, or a chemical high when you do something pleasurable, and replace it with pleasure in the moment. And you're like, Jonah, stop, you sound like a hippie, this is pissing me off. No, listen, think about this. When you were a baby, you weren't happy or sad. You were just here. You were curious and excitable, and you felt things without bias. Just like waves in an ocean, emotions would come over you, but eventually they would pass, and you would be back to the baseline state of just ready to experience. You weren't searching for the high of happiness because the idea of having happiness never even occurred to you. You were content with what was going on right here, right now. There's a great proverb that talks about a man who searched the whole world for his glasses only to find that his glasses were on his head the whole time. There is no need to find something that you already are. Instead of looking to the future and saying, I need to be this, or looking to the past and saying, why was I like that? Just try and set the ego aside and live right here in the present, where you don't need happiness, sadness, or a jacket. Just you.